Bonjour and welcome to Miss Lucy's Cajun Classroom. I'm your host and teacher, Miss Lucy, and we're hamming it up here at Hebert's Meat Market in Abbeville, Louisiana. I'm going to get the pork chops for my sauerkraut special. I don't want to be a hog, but I have to help myself to a little of everything today. Come on, chat. Allons à l'école.
The Louisiana Seafood Board is proud to sponsor Miss Lucy's cooking series. Louisiana cooking is known around the world. And Louisiana's main ingredient? Seafood. Brought to you by the crawfish farmers and harvesters of Louisiana-grown crawfish.
Bonjour, and of course, this is the wonderful and most delicious okra shrimp gumbo that I love. I'll be cooking my favorite dish today. Already started smothering, which means cooking down this okra here. And this is what I'm going to use with my shrimp, my beautiful bone crevettes. Now, to this, I have to add some onions. And a lot of onions is good, but not too much because you don't want to make it really overpower the okra taste, because I just love that okra. Now, just a little tip, when you're cooking okra, if you want to boil it or smother it, add a dab of vinegar to it, which I have already added, but you add just a dab of vinegar and it kind of helps that slimy feeling that the okra has. So it'll really, it'll be just as pretty and green, but it won't take away from that taste of it. Just a dab. Now, you don't want to put too much. Of course, next, I'm going to add our tomatoes that I have already sliced and diced. Now, for this, I really like to peel my tomatoes because I do not like to have the peelings throughout the dish. Okay. Look how pretty that is. Smells good too. Man, I can't wait to eat this. This is really my favorite dish in the okra and shrimp. But as I said, I can't cook it too often because, well, the general doesn't like this, but I have a surprise for him today, so we'll fix him up. We're not going to disappoint him. Okay. Now, to this, I'm going to add my bon crevettes. Bon chevret is what I would say. Look at those beautiful Louisiana shrimp. And you want to add enough because you want the shrimp taste in here, and you don't want to have to pick and choose for the shrimp in it. You don't want to seine for the shrimp. You really need to have them very plentiful, just like we have them in Louisiana. Look at this. This is gorgeous, yes. So there's a mixture of, it's really more shrimp than you have okra. And so shrimp okra gumbo. You just added the okra to the shrimp gumbo. Now, as you've noticed, this gumbo does not have roux in it. Oh, I got a little bit more shrimp. Just let me throw the rest of them in here. You'll be all right. Yeah, very good, very good. Now, okay, your hands here. Oh yes, us Cajuns like to use our hands when we're cooking and talking. Okay, yes. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is that I'm going to season it. And I'll show you how I do that, teach you how to do the seasoning. This is my salt cellar. And just with my fingers. And what did I tell you before? The shrimp and any seafood need to have more seasoning in it because it just requires more seasoning. Now, the shrimp will also make water here, which actually it draws water out of the shrimp when you cook them. So you want to be careful and not add too much water, but yet you want enough liquid in there, which we'll be forming in a minute. See, it's bubbling right here, and it's forming the liquid. I'll put some Louisiana pepper sauce in here. Okay, very good. Man, we're gonna eat good today. I will anyway. Okay. Yeah. Let me see, this is good. Beautiful, beautiful. Now what I'm gonna do next is that you have to add your water to this, just a little bit of water, because remember I told you, shrimp will draw water. You don't want it to be too watery. This is really a sort of a soupy, a thick, soupy gumbo. And of course, the okra thickens this, so that's what makes it so thick. And I eat it with rice, of course. Seasoning is just right. Yeah. So while this goes ahead and cooks, because you want to make sure that your shrimp is cooked with your in your okra before, but you don't have to overcook it, because remember, seafood doesn't take long to cook. You don't want to overcook your shrimp. They're so pretty. They'll turn pretty and pink, and oh, that'd be so good. So now I've got this all going. We're going to just let that simmer, and I'm going to show you how to peel and cut the tomatoes that I've already put in there. Of course, I have a tomato knife. This is a wonderful tool. Every kitchen needs a tomato knife. That, I love it. Of course, you just take it and you just go round and round. See? Just take the peeling off real neat. It's good. It's really nice. Now, you could do it another way. Either one would be fine, and I'll show you another way. You could slice your tomato in half, and you could wedge them. Of course, that's another way to do it. And you pick up your tomato, and you wedge, and you do it this way. So it's whatever you prefer doing, whichever is easier for you. This is the way you would slice your tomatoes and peel them. And this is the next way, you just dice them. This is dicing. So, you don't want them too chunky, but they will cook down some. So actually, that's the beauty of it. They'll cook real, okay. Now these are the okra that I'm gonna be chopping up. I've got 3 of them here. You take the little stem off. Let me move it here. That's a tomato. You take the little stem off here, and I cut this off too, because actually when you make your okra gumbo, now if I'd be boiling this in the pot and to pickle it, I'd just leave the whole okra together. But since I'm doing the okra gumbo, I just slice it up. So this is quick and easy. Very good. Very pretty. Now sometimes when your okra is really big, it's hard. So you want to make sure that your okra is not a big, long okra and long and big, because usually those are hard and you don't want to cook them. Matter of fact, sometimes you can't even cut them. They're so hard. All right, so very good. Well, now I've taught you how to do a couple more items. And the next thing I'm going to teach you to do, even though this gumbo does not have any roux in it, I feel it important to teach you how to make a roux. How they say that? First you make a roux. Or is it, well, first you do make a roux to make any kind of sauce or gravy in Cajun cooking. And you can do that. You can saute onions, bell pepper, and celery. You're a Cajun cook chef. So I'm going to get my flour, and then we'll start teaching you how to make a perfect roux. Okay, very good. Now we've got our flour. I'm going to measure off. Usually what I like to use is a 1-on-1 ratio, like a cup of flour and a cup of oil. And what I'm done, first of all, is that I've heated my oil. Now remember, I am a seasoned roux maker. A novice should not try this right away. I've heated my oil, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to measure it. See, this is about a cup. It doesn't have to be exact, but actually you don't have to level it off or anything because Cajuns, they just approximately. So I'm going to add this to my heated oil, okay? Now, honey, mix it up real good. The reason I heated my oil is that, you know, it takes a long time to make a roux. Actually, the longer it takes to make a roux, the better the roux tastes because it just gets down real and it just cooks the flavor and that certain, well, I guess that flour taste. You want to get that out of there. So here it is. I guess the chefs know the right terminology for this, but I just, you know, I just say just cooks it down the way it tastes better. And you just need to stir, stir, stir. Don't ever stop stirring when you're making a roux because, oh, honey, you have to tie the kids to the bedpost, take the phone off the hook, do not answer the doorbell because if you leave this pot, you will see it may just completely be ruined because as soon as some little black specks starts forming in here, forget it. You can throw it away and start again because once those black specks form in there, it has burnt the flour in it. And it's so bitter, you can never fix it. So just let it just go on a slow cook at first. Now, it took me a few times to learn how to cook a roux. Actually, I burnt one time. Watch, I burnt my second one on television today. So this is actually a blonde roux. Right now, as we speak, this would be the shade, I would say, that we would use it for a gravy. And this is not the color that you want it for a gumbo or a stew. This is for a gravy or an etouffee. I use this color when I make my crawfish etouffee or my shrimp etouffees. So this is really the right shade, but wrong for gumbo or stews. Remember that. Or sauce pecans. I like to brown mine real dark. Almost chocolate covered is what I like to say. Now, before they invented whisk, I don't know what women did. I guess they burnt their roux more than now. So I like to use a whisk when I'm stirring because it seems like even though the brown specks form in there, it's not black specks. Now remember, they'll have some little brown specks that may form in there. You can use that whisk and just whisk it up and it'll just dissolve them and it'll blend in with the rest of the roux. So that's good. So I just go ahead and use the whisk, and of course you can use the spoon as you go along to get in the corners of the pot. As you see how the corners have a tendency to get the darker shade because you don't have it stirred that well. And of course, when that forms, you want to make sure that you use your whisk to blend it in. So my mama could make a roux in a minute. I mean, she would just put that fire on high, and she had that one pot and that one spoon that she made roux with. And honey, and I still have it. And I treasure it very much because she's used it so much that the edge of the spoon is really sharp. I mean, she would just go ahead and stir that just this way and that way, and it would sharpen that spoon. And so I still have it, and of course I can't use it because it's so fine. And also the pot that she used was very thin. Now, a lot of people say you have to have a real heavy pot to make a roux. Well, Mama proved that to be untrue because her pot was so thin, it was really, I don't see how she did it. But I'm just proud to have that pot and that spoon because it reminds me, okay, if you're caught in a place that you do not have a heavy-duty pot, you can always use a thin pot. And of course, the best tool for a roux to me is a heavy-duty pot like these. But like I say, my mama just proved that to be wrong, because you really can make it, and I think. But remember, keep stirring. If you stop, it may burn. It will burn, and not maybe. That's a sure thing. A roux is so easy to burn. And if you accidentally splash some of this roux on your fingers or your hands, it burns so bad into your flesh that you need to, some people have to go to the doctor for that, because it really is, something about a roux just cooks continuously, even though after it's out of the pot. So if you spill some on yourself, it's really not a good thing. So be careful when you're making a roux. It is very, very dangerous if you would accidentally spill some on yourself. So you see, well, nice turning. And this is more of the chocolatey colored flavor that I would want, because it's turning real good. And you listen, if you want the neighbors to come to your house, start making a roux. They will come from miles around, because actually the aroma of a roux is just great. When I do cooking presentations, I make sure I make a roux, because as you can tell, boy, I wish we had smell-o-vision. It just has that just wonderful aroma. Now, to this, remember, I have always said you have to add cold water to hot roux, hot water to cold roux. But today we have a very hot roux, and this is going to be my cameraman's nightmare. I tell you, you add your water very, very slowly to this. It's brown now. It's a beautiful brown color. This is what I'm looking for. And you see when you add the water to it, how that gravy is formed there? Well, that's exactly the color of the gumbo that I'm looking for. So now I'm going to add some more water. And, ooh, cameraman's nightmare. All righty. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Okay, then you use your whisk. You whisk it up real good. Of course, you add the water, the amount of water that you need to make your gumbo or your stew or your etouffee, and then you're set to go. All right, this is perfect. See, I didn't ruin it. I didn't burn it. So I should let little Lucy come help me today. She makes a pretty good roux herself. She's made a couple of them. Okay, now, very good, because all Cajuns have to know how to make a roux, or else they just lost in the kitchen. As my mama always said, if you know how to make a roux and cut up onions, bell pepper, and celery and saute that, you know how to cook Cajun. And I really took her up on it. So anyway, now that I've gotten my roux made, showed you how to do that, I'm going to start fixing one of Harry's favorite meals, because, you know, he's not going to eat my okra today because he doesn't like that. That's my dish, so I'm going to fix him something special. Of course, I'll have to first go and get one of the main ingredients for that. So we'll just get that right now. I'll show you where I got it from.
Here at Hebert's Meat Market in Abbeville, they might as well have a revolving door for all the folks who are constantly coming and going all day long. Hebert's is a custom slaughterhouse and the only one left in Vermilion Parish. Originally owned by Mr. Hebert, Albert Luquette married his daughter and has been the owner for 45 years. You can get just about any type of meats here, including pig's feet, crackling, pigtails, beef tails, you name it. You can get it all here. It takes great skill and real sharp knives and saws to cut up meat, and these folks are the ultimate professionals. Part of the reason people come to Hebert's is their fresh products. This is accomplished by the speed with which the experts work to get the hogs from the pen to the cooler. Only 15 or 20 minutes. By noon, the slaughter is over, but the cutting and processing continues. Meat still has to be cooked and taken off the bone to be mixed to make boudin. Today, they'll slaughter 20 hogs. Cracklins, or gratons in French, is pork skin that's cut into strips, then fried. Sharon Luquette keeps a steady eye on the cracklins to be guaranteed great quality control. These come out perfectly, ooh, and so good. Boudin is a blend of pork, rice, and seasonings that's then stuffed into casings and sold in links. The Heberts make and sell 500 pounds of boudin every day, plus 200 pounds of blood sausage. It's really a kind of a Cajun waltz for the folks who work at Hebert's. They float back and forth between cutting meat, then deboning it. Then, from cooking rice to grinding pork to making boudin. As the morning flows into afternoon, Hebert's is a great place to visit and a wonderful source of fresh meat in South Louisiana.
Well, I promised Howard that I would fix his favorite dish today since I'm having my favorite dish, and that's sauerkraut and pork chops, which his mom taught me how to make. Of course, this is the sauerkraut that I bought in a jar, and you have to wash it real well, rinse it real well, because it takes all the bitterness out of it. Okay, I'm going to take this to the stove and put it in some water. Put it in a pot of water. Okay, because you've got to boil this separately from your pork chops. Yeah, very good. Okay. Whew. I never could stand the smell of sauerkraut. I always thought it stunk. Of course, now if you like it, it smells good, you know. All right, now to this, I'm going to add some potatoes. That's how my mother-in-law taught me how to cook this. And she was the queen of sauerkraut and pork chops. So, I can't tell you today how good this smells because I don't think it smells good, but you may. See if you like it, it may. So I'm going to show you my beautiful pork chops that we just picked up. This is, see, you want your pork chops to be a little thick, but not too thick. You don't want them to be thick enough to stuff. You want them to be kind of, but not too thin because they'll all fall off. But you do need for them to be on the bone. Okay, I've got a pot of boiling water here. And add your chops to your boiling water. All right, very good. Okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to let this boil until the pork chops are real tender and well done, well cooked. And of course, that'll give the sauerkraut time to cook, and the potatoes will be done. And so the very last thing that I'm going to do is that I'm going to take the chops out of here once they're cooked. And one at a time, I'll put them in the pot of sauerkraut with the potatoes that are done. And you season them with salt and pepper. But you can't do that till just before you eat it. I don't know why she never did, but my mother-in-law said you never season that until just before you eat it. So actually, once your chops are done, you put them in the pot with the sauerkraut, and then you salt and pepper only to your taste, and you let that simmer for about 15 minutes until you're ready to indulge. And of course, my mother-in-law always had a sweet potato, a baked sweet potato, with her favorite meal. And as you can tell, I have tried to fix this one just like she would like it. And I think she would be real proud of this one. I sit and enjoy Miss Rita's beautiful flowers, I want to read a letter. I sure do enjoy your show, Miss Lucy. You are such a joy to watch. Your enthusiasm is just too cute, and your recipes are simple and easy to make. Thank you for your wonderful shows. From Betty Stubbs. Thank you, Betty, for writing this letter to me, and thank you for joining me today. I hope that you have learned some lessons in Miss Lucy's Cajun class.
The Louisiana Seafood Board is proud to sponsor Miss Lucy's cooking series. Louisiana cooking is known around the world. And Louisiana's main ingredient? Seafood. Brought to you by the crawfish farmers and harvesters of Louisiana-grown crawfish. To order Miss Lucy's cookbooks, please send check or money order to the address on your screen or call toll-free 1-800-257-5829.